So there are quite a few big EX cards that have been released in this set. One of which is the Charizard EX card, that fire type Charizard that's going to slot nicely into a lot of those Charizard EX dark type decks. But the card that we're going to look at today is weak to that deck. That's a good start, so we'll see how we get on along those. But it's the Alakazam EX. It's quite exciting because it's the first time in the TCG that we've been able to attack from the bench. That dimensional hand attack hits for 120 for 2 psychic energies, and it can be used from the bench. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a quick look at the deck that we've built here, and then we're going to jump into some games and see how it performs. So the first thing we notice here is this Manaphy. We have got a one of Manaphy in this deck, and that's just so that we can sit on the bench quite safely with this 50 HP Abra, which we're going to have a couple of on the bench at any one time, and we don't get slapped by Radiant Greninja or anything else that can hit multiple Pokemon from the bench. We've got 4 of those Abras in the deck. We've got 1 Kadabra, which is a shame because this is the first time that we've seen this card in over 20 years. We've got the 1 because we've got rare candies in there. We're going to evolve the Abra straight into the Alakazam, hopefully. We've got 3 Alakazams in here. We're not going to need all 4 because we're not going to evolve all 4 of those Abras at any one time. We've got 3 in here, and that allows us to add some additional supporter cards in there, which we're going to have a look at. As I've already mentioned, this dimensional hand attack is pretty decent. You hit him from the bench, so you're nice and safe, and it's already got 310 HP. But we've also got that Mind Jack attack. So this attack does 30 more damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So potentially you hit him for 240, which is a decent number, especially against some of those cheeky little weak Pokemon. And now this is the main reason this deck works quite well. We have Klefki in here, which isn't in there for the attack, definitely not. But it has got that mischievous lock ability. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, basic Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponents have no abilities except for mischievous lock. The big thing about this is going to stop Comfies, it's going to stop Radiant Greninjas, it's going to stop Pokemon like that cause us a lot of issues or get other decks set up. So we've got 3 of those. We've got 2 Mimikyus. A lot of people hate this Mimikyu. I did until I put it in this deck and saw what it does. So with that safeguard ability, it prevents all damage done to your Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's EX or V Pokemon. The cheeky little thing about this as well is we've got that Ghost Eye attack. Now, if we can get 2 energies on this, and sometimes it can be useful in a bit of a rut. If we get 2 energies on this Pokemon, you can put 7 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon. The big thing about this is that it's putting damage counters on. It's not actually attacking the Pokemon. That's pretty cool. We've got that. The main reason we've got that is so that we can sit that in the active, or we've got the Alakazam hitting from the bench. Our draw engine for this deck is the Bidoof Bibarel engine, which I think we all know how that works. We've got Industrious Incisors. Once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have 5 in your hand. So that's the way that we're getting cards back into our hand quite, I'd say, mid to late game. We've got the Snorlax, because why would we not have a Snorlax? The good thing about this is if you want to lock a Pokemon in the active, say if we had a Mew VMAX, for example, we could lock it in the active, didn't have any energies on it, lock it there, and then we can hit for 120 from the bench, which is pretty cool. And then we've got Fog Crystal, and Fog Crystal is another way of searching out either energy cards or Pokemon from this deck. So search your deck for a Psychic energy card or a basic Psychic Pokemon, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is quite an old card, it came out in the Chilling Reign expansion, so we know what that does. We've got the Level Ball, which is a way of getting those Abras, Kadabras, the Mimikyus, the Klefkis. We can get all of those from our deck with the Level Balls. We've got 3 rare candies. As we mentioned earlier, obviously this is our way of getting straight into those Alakazam EXs without causing us any trouble. That's why we've only got 1 Kadabra, because we will be relying a little bit on these from the Abra to get straight into there. What we've done a couple of times in some of the games is we've had a couple of Abras down on the bench. We've started to evolve one, the backup Abra we'll say, into the Kadabra, just so we're ready for next turn. We've got a one-off Super Rod in here. I'm tempted to knock this up to 2. There are a couple of times in the games where we've We were a little bit stuck, we'll say, but there is a one-off Super Rod, and obviously that allows you to shuffle any 3 Pokemon and basic energies from your discard pile. We've got the switch, because sometimes we are going to switch between that Klefki and the Mimikyu. We might also want to use the Mind Jack attack from Alakazam. So that's another way of getting a free switch in there. We're going to need ways of getting hold of those Alakazam EXs, and the way we're doing that in this deck is with the Ultra Ball, which is fairly standard in a lot of decks now. We're going to cause a lot of problems with Path to the Peak. Big thing about this, I love this card. There's a couple of reasons I love it. Obviously, Pokemon with a rule box in play have no abilities, so that causes issues. But the big thing here is it's a card from Chilling Reign that's done by my favourite artist, Oswaldo Cato. So we've got that in the deck. I'm glad that's in there. We've got a 2 of Boss's Orders. The other thing I'm thinking about adding in here is PAL Pad, just to make it a little bit more competitive. The thing we could do then is potentially drop one of these Ionos, and what we could get is get the Ionos back, or even the Bosses back. As we're talking about Ionos, we have got 4 of these in the deck. Now, what we want to do here, this is mainly for decks that want to have a big hand size. So this is here to cause a lot of issues. If people are winning, we can stick that Iono straight out and cause them some problems to get us back on even peggings. We then have Professor's Research. I think it's fairly staple in most people's decks. We've got the Raihan. For anyone that doesn't use this very often, fantastic card. You can play this card only if any of your Pokemon were knocked out during the last turn. So what that allows you to do is, a lot of these Pokemon have got 70, 50, 60 HP. The chances are they're going to get knocked out. Attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. If you do, search your deck for a card, any card at all, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So it is a decent card. We did use it a couple of times, and it was to accelerate energy and get whatever card we needed at the time out of the deck. We've got 2 of the Defiance Band. This is a deck where I'm expecting we're going to be behind quite a lot. We're not going to be taking prize cards especially quickly, because we're going to be using that 120 attack a lot of the time. We're not going to be going in for big hits. We're going to sort of be hitting quite consistently from the bench, and I'm expecting that we'll fall behind on prize cards quite quickly. So we've got this in here for that additional 30 damage. So that Dimensional Hand is now hitting for 150, which is great if we're in a bit of a rut. And then we've got 8 energies. We don't need an awful lot of energies in this deck, and you'll see why when we play the game. So let's jump over and jump into some of those games. It looks like we are playing against a Charizard build. Which Charizard build we are playing against is yet to be seen. I'm sure we'll soon find out. I think I will go first. So it could be the standard Charizard EX, the Dark type Charizard EX, or it could be the new 151 build. So let's find out. Not a terrible hand. Could get Alakazam firing next turn. We are going to have to find one of those Abras. We get the Abra off the Fog Crystal. See what they set up with first, because what we don't want is a Charizard knockout next turn. I think we're okay with the Mimikyu at the moment. We've got that Safeguard ability, which prevents any damage, prevents any attacks, I believe. Any damage from any attacks from an EX or a V Pokemon. We've got Iono as well there, so we're going to look for that Abra to start with. We're going to bench the Abra. We're going to attach return to the Abra. And I think keep the Ultra Ball for now. We could have done with Path really, but I'll keep the Abra for now, and I'm thinking Rare Candy, attach Iono next turn. We do need everything else actually for next turn, so we'll leave it there. Unless they've got boss in hand, I don't think we're getting knocked out this turn. They're probably going to use... Okay, they're getting the evolution Pokemon's ready, so they probably have Rare Candy in hand. See if they got that set up for next turn. However, we do know what's in hand now. We have got the Iono next turn, so we can cause some problems. Interesting start. I think it does make sense to attach. A little bit of a pickle there because I do want that Ultra Ball for the Bidoof. But we are going to Iono and get rid of that Charizard from their hand. I think if we bench another Abra just for a little bit of safety as well. And do we look for another Mimikyu? If we do. So we have got Mimikyu, we've got the two Klefkis in there, we've got the Abra. Done. We're going to bench that Mimikyu. It's a shame really, we haven't got the... We're just going to have to attack. Shame we can't get the attack off on the Charmander, that would have saved us a lot of problems. But we are still quite safe. Good because we've got the Mimikyu in the active position there. We've got another one on the bench for if that gets knocked out. They are going to start firing probably with a Charmeleon at some point. Yeah, another Charmander on the bench I would guess. They might go for the Pidgey at the Radiance Arena, okay. So we won't be getting the next turn on. Well, we can still get the knockout. I always forget whether that's 30 or 20 on the Radiance Arena. Okay, let's see if we can get something useful from Artisan on our next turn. Hopefully we can get Path next turn, but they are going to boss in the Alakazam for 130. Isn't too bad, because if we can get another energy card, we can attach that, get the Mimikyu back into the active, but they are going to use Power Edge for 130. We want 10 with the double turbo attached. Yeah, we have got another energy, so we are going to attach that. We are going to retreat that and get the Mimikyu back into the active. I'm going to see what we can get from Artisan, hopefully. We're going to go for the Bidoof. It's... Oh, what's the... Messagoza? That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Messagoza. Have we got enough in here? No, we don't want to use the Super Rod yet. We do want to use the Level Ball for the Kadabra. What we can start doing is building that up next turn then. It's a shame really we have to get rid of the Super Rod, so I'm going to use the Super Rod to get that energy back into the deck. Then we're going to research. We do pull the Path, so we're going to play down Path. Best move here is to save that Ultra Ball next turn, but shame really because we have got boss. A Dimensional Hand for the knockout on the Arceus. We're in a difficult position because they have got just the two, but that starts the prize race for us. Nice. Quite nicely. We have got the Alakazam as well for next turn, so we can slap that down on the Kadabra if we don't get Iono. And choose the next active. The active has to be the Charmeleon. It's got to hit for that 30. Unless they can find another way. Okay, fair enough. The other option probably would have been for them to leave. Yeah, I don't know. Ugh. I do not like that card in the slightest. If we get Bibarel, would have been useful. Did they get the knockout on the Mimikyu? We can Raihan into another energy to start building that Kadabra potentially for the Alakazam upcoming. It does look like they're just going to pass, which means we can take one of two cards. This is tough. I don't really want to get rid of any of those. How many paths have we got? Okay, so there are... Yeah, we're going to... I think we're going to research. Shame really because... Oh, this is painful. Do we research? I think we have to research here. I think that was the right move. We've got the Bibarel. Helps a little bit. And I think the best course of action here would probably be just to go for the dimensional hands for another prize card, just to get ahead in that prize race. Because if we get another... Yeah, I think so. Alakazam next turn can start hitting. It's a shame we couldn't attach return. We could have Fog Crystal for the energy, but potentially we're going to want that if we need to get another Mimikyu, because there are 3 in the deck. It would be useful. Got the Abra off the prize cards there, so we did prize an Abra. Quite nice that we're at the point we are now, but they are set up ready for if they get Charizard EX next turn to start hitting if they can switch it out. They have used just the 1 boss already. But depending on how many boss they're playing in deck, we may be safe for another couple of turns. There we go, 6. But we are going to see what happens. We're not sure what deck it is because they are playing those 151 sleeves and deck box like everyone else is, and I don't mind that. But we are going first, which is quite nice of them. We're going to see. We have got semi-decent hand. I'm going to put the Klefki out because potentially we could be playing against Lost Box. That could cause them a lot of issues. We're not going to bench the Manaphy. Other than that, it's never great. Okay, so we got this. Okay, this will be an interesting one. Not one you see every day, the Zora box. But we have got 2 Bibarels. We have something else, please. Eventually. You got this Tinkaton draw engine as well in this deck. But we are just going to attach. And there's not much more we can do other than pass. Realistically, what would be nice is an Iono here. Get Iono top deck. It's going to help. Because we have sort of bricked a little bit here. Ideally, the other route, we need to get another Abra on the bench. Because that's one of the problems with this deck. If we can't get Abras built up on the bench, it's going to cause us a lot of issues. Because as soon as that one gets taken out, they are quite an easy target to hit at with that 50 HP as well. Even the Kadabra with 80 HP isn't the best of Pokemon to be sat on a bench. Do we bench the Manaphy? Might be worth it, we'll see. I don't think they're taking knockout now this turn anyway. I don't think they're taking knockout on the Klefki. They're not taking knockout on the Abra. Both of those attacks, they're not doing much. What we do need next turn is a supporter of some kind. We have to get that supporter, so they have, which we don't mind about. Again, it's decks like this where there's no massive EX rule box Pokemon with abilities that we're not that bothered about, but they are starting to build up that discard pile. So we'll see how this plays out. Interesting deck, as I said, to play against. They're probably going to look for another stage 2 or these, or yeah, Zaru even. And we're going to bench that. What we want to try and do next turn, we want to try and get the knockout on that. So whatever way we can draw, we need to start doing. But they are using scrap pickup and pass. Sorry, it is an attack, so okay. Oh dear. We're going to get rid of both of those because we're in a little bit of a pickle here. A little bit of a pickle. It is going to have to be the Bidoof because we're going to evolve that next turn. And then we're going to have to evolve the Kadabra. We're going to have to go, like I say, the long route. Next turn, if they can't get the attack off, what we have got is the Alakazam's ready to start punching. The Bibarel's ready to start drawing. So we will see what happens, but they are going to use that Phantom Transformation ability to try and get what I would imagine. I'm guessing they're probably going to just look for a Dark Pokemon to get into that discard. No? Okay, strange one. Very surprised at that. They're probably going to look for the Tinkaton. Wow. The Dew Guard ability. Whenever this Pokemon plays a supporter from their hand, prevent all effects of the card done to your hand. They're trying to protect their hand for some reason, which is a little bit strange. What they are going to try and do, I would guess, is this is the EX Tinkaton deck. So we're going to have to start being quick here, which we can do. We're going to Industrious Incisors and hope for something useful. Oh no, this isn't great. This isn't great at all, but we are going to attach down here. We are getting the knockout on that. It's a shame really that we can't boss anything out. I think the best thing to do here is Ultra Ball. Probably get the Mimikyu out because we are going to be playing against the Tinkaton deck. So we're going to bench that Mimikyu and then we're going to use Mind Jack. Dimensional Hand even for the knockout on that Tinkaton. Hopefully it causes a little bit of frustration. We've got thumbs up. We've got thumbs up here. We've just played straight into their hands, I'm guessing. Yeah, they've got another Tinkaton ready to go. What they're going to try and do, obviously, is build that hand up as much as possible. Get the rare candy Tinkaton. Yeah. And then, oh, we've got the gather materials. I'm surprised at that. I'm very surprised at that. They're going to start building that hand quite quickly there. The thing is, if we get boss and we have got that dimensional hand attack ability, I keep calling it ability. I can't. It's strange to attack from the bench or do something from the bench and it not be an ability. So they're gonna. If we get boss, we're not in a terrible situation here. But they are gonna start slamming down I can't remember what they're called. The reversal energies. They're gonna start putting those on things soon because they are behind in prize cards. I think they have used gather materials. I don't think there's much more they can do other than pass unless they have something in their hand that they can use. Miriam. Yeah, we'd like to see the back of cards, don't we? Are they okay? They are putting cards back into their hand. Guessing the Zoro's no longer what we need to start doing. We need a supporter of some kind. We have been pretty supporterless so far. In fact, we've played no supporters. I think this is the third turn. So let's see what we can get from this. We have got rare candy, Snorlax. There's not much we can do. We are going to Industrious Incisors, hope for that boss. No, but we have got Iono. The trouble is, it's slightly frustrating really that we can't get rid of. They are ready for the attack next turn as well, which is the other frustrating thing. Can't even switch it out. Don't want to use that Iono because it's not going to have any effect whatsoever on them. So I think maybe just Dimensional Hand. I think it's probably the best move. No, we are going to Iono. I know it's not going to do anything to them. It does give us a handful of useless cards. Probably the best move here is the level ball for the... We haven't got another Kadabra. Oh, I do forget that we haven't got another Kadabra, but we're going to get the other Abra. I think it's probably not worth benching this. But we are going to switch in the Mimikyu, and then we're going to Dimensional Hands for 120. It's not taking the knockout, which is frustrating. We are in a position where potentially we can start taking prize cards. It's a very strange deck to actually see somebody playing, to be honest. That Tinkaton, when that starts coming out, it is hitting for, I think, 20. Is it 20 per card in hand? At the moment they're doing 200, which isn't quite enough to take out the Alakazam. The Abra is looking very, very vulnerable at the moment. The fact that Path's already played as well is slightly frustrating because we can't get rid of any of these. They are discarding cards. There's that Tinkaton EX, which has got, is it 300? So I'm guessing rare candies there. Yep, Tinkaton. And there's the Tinkaton attack. Big hammer. This attack does 30 damage for each card in your hand. Unless they can get Mimikyu out of play, it's not actually doing anything to us though, which is nice. Switch. Yep, they're switching in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They do have gather materials still available. There's another Zora that Zoro. I can't even say it. I say it's not very often you see decks like this, so it is good to play against them. Not quite fun to play against something a little bit different. Now we've got Fog Crystal. That does mean that they also have the Pulverizing Press attack if they wanted to boss something else in. I'm guessing what they're going to need now is they're either going to look for the Escape Rope or possibly boss if they can get boss. The other option is to just start hitting this Tinkaton. 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 Tinkaton and Tink. No, I don't know. They're in an order. And it's not going to affect them anyway, so we might as well use the Iono now. For us, it doesn't really help either. But what we can do we attach? Is it your active Pokemon? Yeah, okay, so get that one ready. I think we level ball. For another Mimikyu just in case. We bench the Mimikyu. I don't think there's an attack that can actually start hurting us too badly. Industrialize them. Okay. Oof. Okay. The only option is the Dimensional Hand. But what we're going to start doing now is building that Mimikyu up that it can start hitting if they can't do an attack. What are they doing at the moment? 30, 60, 120. Oops, we got rid of stuff. Oh, that hurts. Gotta be the Klefki. We don't necessarily need the Klefki at the moment. Gonna have to be the other Mimikyu as well. They can't boss this turn. If they do Escape Rope, I think we have to give them the Abra. Keeping the Abra probably wasn't the best of choices because we have got rid of all of our Mimikyus now. I think the sensible option obviously is to boss in that Milotic. We can. Is there a Milotic in there? I believe there is. I think I saw it. Yeah, there is. They now have 2 of those, which frustrates us a little bit. 90, 30. Okay, strange route, that's okay. Yeah, so they're going to get those back out again, I would guess. Those 2 in an energy, maybe? There is a route. Need to find it. So we want to attach the Mimikyu. We said we were going to use the Mimikyu. I think the only other we're going to bench the Klefki. And then I think do we get boss? Can we get boss? No, get boss. Can research. Oh, we get it now. Okay, so what are we taking out of the discard? Oh. I see Barrad, we need to get the Mimikyu back. Mimikyu. I also think we need that. We're also going to take... No, we don't want the Manaphy. Famous last words. Really slap out a Radiant Greninja and start hitting us with Moonlight Shuriken. which we don't really want. The frustrating thing here is that we only play one Kadabra as well. So obviously, we're on a little bit of a pickle here, where we're just going to have to dimensional hand again. This game is going on a lot longer than I expected it to. I'll be perfectly honest. We do need the rare candy next turn. We do need that rare candy. All quiet on the western front now. Okay, 11. So they are now hitting if they switch something in, and I'll be in a little trouble if they can bring in the Alakazam, because they're now hitting for 300. You can get one more card. They're not hitting for quite enough. Unless I've got another way of getting cards. This is a strange one because they're currently not quite hitting for enough. Strange decision. Very strange decision there. Obviously the sensible option for us here. Not entirely sure why they did what they did. Do we want another Mimikyu? No. I'm not sure how many Ionos are actually left, so I feel like I'm being lulled into a full sense of security here. What we do need to... Yeah, Ionos. It's frustrating that we had to use most of those Ionos so quickly. And there's the other Alakazam. Rare candy, please. We need the rare candy, not the Alakazam. We did get those. Sorry, we did get the Mimikyus back into the deck earlier. We're sort of even on deck numbers as well. This could go either way, really. I mean, the options here. Two ways. We either... I mean, we can actually bring the Alakazam up to hit. Now it's at 220 because it is a bit of a liability sat on the bench with 90 HP left. They are at 10, so they are hitting for 300 now. Guessing that's probably their move. They probably have boss in hand. They're then hitting for 270. Can get rare candy next turn. It would make sense. We need to get rid of that Monotic. Frustrating because we can't. Interesting one. Very interesting because we're going to attach there. Yeah. Oh, if we bench that. Fail that. We're also going to fail that. Yeah. Okay, so 90. 30 for each bench, so yeah, it's probably just as well to go for the dimensional hand. I mean, it is still taking us 3 turns, which is slightly frustrating because we haven't quite got they are hitting for big numbers now. Hitting for very big numbers. Probably now going to look for another's. Yeah, they're just building the deck back up so they don't deck out. Which I don't think is an issue for them, to be perfectly honest. You can tell games are quite frustrating when I go quiet as well, which I have been for a couple of minutes now. You've got the jet energy. Okay, so yeah. There goes the Mimikyu. We can bench the other Mimikyu, which doesn't hurt us too badly. Was that the best option for them? I'm not entirely sure. Do need to do that. So. What would we look for? There's not much we look for. Yeah, there isn't really. Okay. Industrious incisors first. See what we get. We do get Path, which is, to us at this point in the game is pretty useless. I think we need to Raihan. We attach return. I think we did for the retreat. We haven't got that ready, but we are going to attack from the bench, which knocks that Tinkaton out, which takes us down to 2 prize cards. So taking that Tinkaton out obviously helps the situation quite a lot. We have only got 7 prizes left. 7 prizes. Start with 6. 7 cards left in deck. I would imagine they're going to take the fresh Alakazam out as well, because they can do. Have they got any boss left? Yeah, they must have. There's no way they're playing one boss. Not in a world of Pokemon Giratina Dark Spaces. Are they playing anything other than 2, potentially 3 bosses? Okay, so they're doing... Okay. Just take them down to 4 prize cards, but... And the sensible option here is to halt, to boss, take out the Milotic, and then hope next turn for the... It's on 240. Yeah, I think we need to save boss in hand really at the moment. Essentially switch it out, bring a fresh Tinkaton on. At least then we can boss in the old Tinkaton. They're only going to take out one of the Alakazams. I think they probably know the game is pretty close to over. Like I say, it's interesting, yeah. Even if they have boss, Unless they are, I know. Which I doubt they're going to do. They've got 13 in hand. Double turbo. They're going to switch in for the fresh Tinkaton. Potentially Iono, I can't see it happening. Even if they switch in Alakazam. Have they used a supporter? They used Raihan this turn, so they're just hoping that we're not going to hit this turn. They know we can't take the knockout, but what they don't know, and it always feels bad, but we do boss in the old Tinkaton, and then we hit with Dimensional Hand for the knockout. That was a tough game. That was a very, very tough game, which is interesting, because I haven't played against Tinkaton for ages. We've got the 2 Fog Crystals as well. I'm going to go heads. Because heads is the only way. Always fail on tails. Unless it's me, of course, in which case heads never works. But never mind. Never mind. Let's concentrate on the game. Not the look of the coin flip. Okay, not a bad start. We could have done with the Mimikyu, really, just in case. We don't know what we're playing against yet, so Mimikyu might be better. Klefki might be better. We are playing against Giratina Lost Box. Okay, this will be an interesting one, because I haven't played against this yet. But Klefki would obviously be the way to go with this. Because what we want to do is try and stop those Comfies, Radiant Greninjas, anything like that we want to try and stop. And we have got the ability to just hide behind the Klefki a little bit if we can get that out. Key here is trying to get that Klefki. It shouldn't be too bad. It shouldn't be too difficult to find. The thing that worries me is that Giratina being in the active position. Okay, and they pass. Right, Klefki, smashing. So we're going to bench that. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach up here. And we're going to switch that out. And we're quite lucky because they haven't actually put anything at all in the lost zone yet. So we're going to path as well. And then we're going to Iono. I know those Alakazams are going to end up at the bottom of the deck. But what we're hoping we can do is take those out later with Ultra Balls. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem. We're going to Fog Crystal as well because we're going to get the Klefki. Because what we don't want is that escape rope causing us any problem. So we're going to attach that. We're going to drop the Comfy on the bench. I'm trying to think what the best move is next. I'm thinking save the Level Ball for the next turn because we have got now a setup that stops those Comfies from working, which is what we want to do. We want to try and stop cards going in the lost zone. We've got Chorus. Obviously, that is an option for them to get them in there. But we also, I believe it stops the abilities of Cram as well. So it's still going to have to attach. We'll get that out of the active. Now, sorry. The Cramorant. There we go. I'm already getting scared by the fact that there's no Giratina going down. But we'll see. See what happens. We've got rid of a Fog Crystal. There's 3 Ionos in this deck, I believe. But the Ionos will help cause some issues for the Lost Box because they'll start to build that hand up. See where we can get. They have got the Abyss Seeking. They can still get things in the Lost Zone. There are only 2 in there at the moment. So with Abyss Seeking, 2 of those will go in. 2 will go in the Lost Zone. But it is an attack, which means that Cramorant can't come out and cause us any issues. So what we're going to do next is attach turn. We're going to use the Level Ball because we're going to get the Kadabra. We have got another Klefki in deck. We've got 2 Alakazams. Actually, so those Alakazams were the only 2 that we actually had in deck. Put that there. And I'm thinking, do we get rid of the switch? No. We're going to Iono. And what I'm hoping that will do, we have shuffled the deck now with the Level Ball, so we're not going to get... We have got an Ultra Ball, which is what we want. What else have we got in here? There's no way of attaching anything else, I don't believe. We're going to Ultra Ball and we're going to get rid of Abra. I might come to regret this, but we're going to get rid of the Super Rod as well. Because what we can do is get the Alakazam ready. The rare candy. And that does leave us with the Professor's Research for next turn. Unfortunately, we can't do that just yet. They are in a difficult position because unless they evolve that Giratina this turn, that they still need to attach 2 more energies to do an attack, and it will only be Shred. We'll still knock the Klefki out, but at the moment they're reliant on Lost Vacuum, the Colress's Experiment, and other things like that to get stuff in the Lost Zone, which is great for us. Struggle for them, but we do need to attach another Psychic Energy, and I'm hoping we'll get one off that Professor's Research next turn. See how we get on. We've got Path down. We're going to Abyss Seek again, which finishes their turn, but they will then be over the 4 cards to start causing issues with that Cramorant if they can switch something else in. So we do need to try and evolve that Kadabra if possible, because that will be the main target for them. We've got Path. We're going to get rid of Path and the Abra, unfortunately for us. Yeah. That's a little bit frustrating. We can start attacking though. And I do think having Manaphy on the bench also helps a little bit. But we are going to do our first attack from the bench, and it's going to be into that Giratina, which they're not going to like. But you can already see causing so much hassle to those Comfies is really helping us. But they are at 6 in the Lost Zone, so potentially they've got Colress, which gets them over to that 7 for the Mirage Gate. They could also just use another Abyss Seek. The thing with the second Abyss Seeking is that we're going to knock the Giratina out. They are using that for the Colress, so the Giratina, if they can get that this turn, can take the knockout. But we have got the additional Klefki on the bench, so if we can find another one for the next turn, there's another couple of Klefkis there. But I think what we need to start doing next, potentially, is try and find a Mimikyu. Should stop some of the issues that we're going to have from this Giratina. But they are at 8 in the Lost Zone. They can start slamming those Mirage Gates down. They have got 11 in hand, so if we can Iono, that would be great at this point. Thinking what they're going to do next, I would imagine Giratina V-Star is going to come down at some point soon. The fact that there's 2 on the bench scares me a little bit as well, to be honest. We have got the Manaphy down, so Gradient Greninja's in a little bit of bother itself. They can't conceal stuff. I did think it would come down at some point. What potentially could happen, they've used Colress this turn, so they can't use Boss. But we do want to try and get rid of that Giratina V-Star as soon as possible. This is the issue, because it's only hitting for 120. It's not taking any quick knockouts. It's also taking 3 hits to take the V-Stars out. They are ready. I think if they attach for turn, they are ready now for the Shred attack. Which I would imagine they would probably do. Is why I want that Mimikyu down at this point. Yeah. So they're going to Shred, take the Klefki out. So we want to get another Klefki out. But we also want to try and find a Mimikyu and stick that on the bench as well. Because we are taking the knockout next turn on this Giratina. But that one on the bench is ready for the next attack. So we're going to attach down here for turn. Ooh, frustrating. I think we're going to have to use this research. Because we do want a Mimikyu. I'm going to try and find it. If we don't find it, we do find the Fog Crystal. If we put the Bidoof down, we use the Fog Crystal to get the Mimikyu from the deck. We can then stick that on the bench. I am at this point thinking there's only 8 in there, so if I think the Klefki staying there is a sensible thing to do here. But I am going to Ultra Ball. I'm going to get rid of the Defiance Band and the Psychic Energy, because I want to keep that switch just in case, and then what we can do is take the Alakazam EX out of the deck. We can evolve that Kadabra. And then we've also got a backup Alakazam there as well. So, what we can do now is we can use Dimensional Hand for 150 to take the 2 prize cards from that Giratina. But again, there is a V-Star on the bench. Take 5 and 6. Get another Alakazam. And more importantly, that Iono. I'm thinking this is going to come down to pulling cards at the right time at this point. We need to make sure. I haven't checked this one, so they've got rid of a couple of compies at this point. How much is this doing with Mind Jack? So it's doing 90, 120, 150, 180. I'm thinking about sacrificing a Alakazam just to take that additional punt at the Giratina V-Star, because if we can get rid of that, ideally we want to try and keep this Klefki around, because as soon as that Klefki's gone, we've got issues here. Might have been better to switch the Mimikyu out at this point, so the Mimikyu was in the active. We can play this cleverly and put the Mimikyu out after this turn, switching the Cramorant to the... But there's the attack on the Klefki. So the Klefki's gone. A little bit of overkill, I would have thought. I suppose their logic is that Klefki's gone now, not causing them any more issues. So what we need to try and do now is find another Super. Or we do play 2. Don't want to use the Level Ball yet, I don't think. But I'm not sure. 1, 2, whether I spotted. Ah, there was. Yep, smashing. I don't think. Oh yeah, I'll bench that now. What we want to do now, I think best is we are safe. We are safe at the moment, so I think Iono is probably the best way to go, because we're also knocking them down to 4 prize cards, I think. 4 cards even. Yeah, both on 4. And we get the Bibarel, which is fantastic. So we can Industrious Incisors. Okay. I think the logical thing to do here is Dimensional Hand for 120. Because what we can do then is go in next turn for the knockout. If I take the Mimikyu out, we put the Alakazam out next in the active. So they do switch. They are going to switch in the Cram. So they're going to take the knockout on the Mimikyu. Okay. What we can do is 90, 120, 150, 180. So next turn we are taking the knockout on the Giratina, because we are going to boss that in. But we do need to find a way of getting these Mimikyus and Klefkis back in the deck, because I think I've prized one. I do want to use boss, because at the moment we're hitting for 210. So we're going to boss in that Giratina. And then we are going to Mind Jack for 210. Then we count on 2 prizes. And the opponent can say. So it is a deck that works against what is potentially one of the stronger decks in the format at the moment. Obviously, I'm not entirely sure they were set up as well as they could be for that matchup, to be honest. But again, there's what it can do against big hitting Lost Zone decks. Okay, so we're not entirely sure what we're playing against. The deck box and coins and everything seemed a little bit all over the place. So I'm not entirely sure. We will soon find out what we're playing against. Tails, potentially, probably. I think we are going to go first. Thank you very much. Yes, we will. Okay, so we have got the Mimikyu. Depends on what we're playing against as to whether that's actually useful, but we do get the Mulligan card as well. Looks like we're playing against a Charizard deck, and I'm guessing it's probably one with Entei or yeah, the other big Pokemon that's in the deck. Can't remember. There's that many iterations now of that Charizard deck that could be any one of them. But there is going to be a V Pokemon in there. Guessing they're going to be starting with a couple of Charmanders. Could even have the Radiant in there. We will soon find out. Another very versatile deck, and it's just become more versatile with 151, obviously, with that release of the Fire-type Charizard EX. We do get the Path, which is quite useful for starting. Charcadet, okay. So it looks like we're going to be playing against the Charizard Charcadet build. So if we get the Abras started nice quickly, we need a couple of those on the bench as quickly as possible. We are going to attach return, we're going to pass, and then we're going to pass. Not the best of openings. I do wonder whether VIP pass would be useful in this deck. Don't think it's going to necessarily be fantastic. It's going to take up 4 slots. We need most of those, so I think the way that we're playing at the moment works. But I haven't actually played against this Charcadet build of the Charizard EX yet, so it'll be interesting to see how this works. It's a brand new 151, so there is going to be an EX. Potentially, it's not even the Obsidian Flames Charizard in here. They have got the Charmander, they've got the new Charmander in there. They're going to have the new Charmeleon. The interesting thing about this Charmander is that Blazing Destruction. They are doing 10 damage straight away to the active. I think the move, this is difficult because this is pretty bricky hand, but I think level ball, we need to get that Bibarel quite quickly. Can we, or do we? Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, it's got to be the Bibarel. We need to get some draw going very, very quickly. And do we cause mischief? Don't think there's much point, to be perfectly honest. And the best move here is to pass. That's what we get next turn. Because if they evolve that Charizard, as long as Path's in play, they're not getting that Blazing... Is it Blazing Destruction? I can't remember. The attached to 3 energies. But they're not actually getting that ability in play. So hopefully, if they do that, they don't realise. And then we end up with a Charizard on the bench with no energies attached. They're just going to attack for the 10 and pass. Interesting one. Slightly frustrating because if we level balled last time... We do need to level ball. We're going to get the other Abra out of the deck. Don't think anything else is going to be of much help. Abra. Slap that down on the bench. Just for the purposes of trying to get more cards. You know, I think the thing that's going to hurt the most is probably that Charmander being taken out. So we're going to push that into the active. We're going Industrious Incisors for another 3. Frustratingly, we don't get... I think we are going to have to go the long route. Yeah. Evolve that. Do the Ultra Ball for... We don't need to Ultra Ball for anything really. So again, we can pass. Yeah, hopefully they don't... I mean, they've caused a lot of problems to themselves, getting themselves down to 4 cards. But knowing my luck, that top deck was a... was a Charizard or a Rare Candy. And they probably had the other in hand at the time, so... We'll see. We'll see. It'll be an interesting one to win if we can push through this, because it is a difficult matchup for this deck. It's only hitting for 110-20 every turn. There is the option for that Alakazam to do the Mind Jack ability, which the stack does 30 more damage for each of your turn. Each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, so we've got that 90. Don't think there's much benefit, to be perfectly honest, in benching the Klefki at the moment, but I think we are going to have to get rid of Klefki. We want to keep that Path just for safety in hand. So what we've actually got in deck, we've got 3 rare candies. Why aren't we drawing them? We've got 5 energies. The obvious option here is the Alakazam for the rare candy. We are going to evolve that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, from Industrious Incisors we're going to get a rare candy and an energy. We get neither. Oh, that's frustrating. So we're going to attach that. And then I think, as much as we didn't want to do it, we're going to have to Iono. That does put their hand back up to 6, so potentially they do get the... Right, okay. So rare candy, the second Alakazam. We've got research for next turn, but we are going to knock out one of their Charmanders. Just put us ahead in the prize race, and obviously it causes them some issues if they don't get the Charizard evolved next turn. Which I'd be very surprised if they don't, to be perfectly honest. The fact that they're putting that into the active makes me think that they already have it in hand as well. But we'll see. We'll see. We might be slightly luckier than we think. It is the Entei build, which we thought it might have been. Obviously the Forest Seal Stone comes in clutch here because they can attach that and take any card out of the deck that they want. So we are in... We're not in the... we're not in the most comfortable of positions. Yes, we're ahead with a prize card. But potentially Boss is in there. Rare Candy Charizard. Does look like they're going to look for it, which makes me think that there is a Rare Candy in hand. Even if there isn't, Forest Seal Stone, they've got that Armarouge now to start building those energies. Blasting Destruction, gets rid of that path. We got rid of path last turn with the Iono, which is slightly frustrating. We'll see what happens. Just in case you haven't seen that as well. Fire Off ability. As often as you like during your turn, you may move an energy from one of your bench Pokemon to your active. So they're now ready for the Charizard turn. It's slightly frustrating, but we are going to... I mean, it's not terrible, I'll be honest. I think research is probably the best route here. That does leave us with not the most fantastic of hands. I do wonder sometimes whether Snorlax is a good way to go. The simple option here is just to take the knockout. But is there anything else we can do? It's always worth thinking whether there's anything you can do. Don't be rushed in these games. Just take your time, see if there's anything else you can do. But I do think the Dimensional Hand for the knockout on the Charmander is the best route. Does take that Charizard next turn totally away from the game, which helps us a lot. Gives us a couple more turns. Things like that are also the kind of things that frustrate people into conceding a little bit. They do seem to have had a little bit of a bricky hand, I'll be honest. This isn't the best. They are going to search for the Forest Seal Stone, I would guess. What they potentially can start doing then is build out Entei. So I think the next target for us is the Entei on the bench. So if we can get Boss, our probably best thing to do is get Boss. Boss the Entei into play, see what we can do there. The Armarouge is obviously a slightly difficult number because it is doing 130. Sorry, it has got 130 HP, but there are ways we can take that out. The other option here is to start building that Mimikyu up because it has got the Ghost Eye attack, which puts 7 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon. We're not going to take the Manaphy out with that, but they are switching in the Entei themselves. Not sure what their play would be here. They're going to have to attach return unless they can potentially get Magma Basin out. Start attaching from the discard to... There isn't actually anything in the discard. So we're not getting knockout next turn on the Entei. There's no way that's happening. But we can. So we've got the other Alakazam set up there. And what we can do... We don't need to bench that. We don't need to bench that. The other option is to try to start thinning because we're not getting knockout. Are we getting knockout within that out? That does 90, 120, and 50. We're not getting knockout with that either. With the... an additional 30. I think the best option here... By some time we'll get the Fog Crystal. We are going to get another energy. We're going to attach that energy to the Mimikyu. We can't because we've already attached return. Okay. So it's doing 90. It's got 30 additional, so 120, 150, 180. It's not really worth potentially losing. We can't switch it out anyway. I do think best route is just to start hitting. They are going to be ready for attacking next turn, but potentially, obviously, they're going to have boss to get something into the active that Entei can hit through. See what they've got. It is slightly frustrating to play against decks like this because that Mimikyu is sat there with 50 HP left and there's nothing that Entei can do at the moment. I'm very surprised they didn't look for the Forest Seal Stone on the last Arven turn. Don't think it is actually there. We have seen it. We saw it on the... Unless they prized it. If they're only playing one and they've prized it. If they're playing two and they've prized it. Even more frustrating. It does look like they're going to use that Fire Off ability. Which does move any amount of energy to... So it is... It's not hitting unless they've got boss. Whether they're not sure about that, but they have got boss. So they're going to boss in one of the Alakazams. Okay. Fair enough. We have got enough to draw in the hand at the moment anyway. We have got the Iono option. We've got the Professor's Research option, which I'm leaning towards a little bit more. They are going to take the knockout, obviously, with this. I think the fact that they've bricked a little does cause us... It does help us a little bit. Obviously, what we have got now is the 90 plus 30, 120, 150, 180. We can take the Mew out, which does set us on a nice little prize path here. We have got 4 left. We can take this Entei out next turn. Play the Mimikyu. Get the Entei next turn with the Dimensional Hand attack. And then use the Mind Jack the turn after that. If we can boss in the Mew, puts us in quite a nice position. However, we do want to try and deal with this second is it second or third Charmander? Don't really want to give them any prize cards. Don't really want to get rid of what is a decent hand. I think the best Pokemon to bench here is the Snorlax. Do think the next move probably... Oh, this is painful. Do we need anything else? No, I think we do need to research. Because we can then path, which they're not going to like because I think the plan for them is probably to go and search for the Charizard next turn or the rare candy. Probably the rare candy off the Pidgeot if they can get that. But we are getting knockout next turn. We're going to knock out this turn, sorry, on the... Yeah, that's the best move. Take the knockout. 2 prize cards left. Puts them under a lot of pressure to get those 5, which I don't think they're going to do. Not going to speak too soon. Because they have got the Mew. There is a potential here. I mean, what they've done now is lined up the win for us next turn because we can switch out the Mimikyu. Playing the Alakazam, use that Mind Jack for, I think... Yeah, they knew what that was the play. There's not much more they could have done. They could have played in the single prizer, which would have taken it a little bit longer for me to get that win. But it wasn't really worth it. So there are some of the games that we played with this Alakazam EX card. It's not an amazing card, I'm not going to lie, but that Dimensional Hand ability from the bench causes a lot of problems, as you can see. If you can get the right setup, you can get that Mimikyu or that Klefki set up and stop whatever the player is supposed to be doing with their deck, I think you're in for a winner. And the fact that this is one of my favourite 151 original Pokemon made me really, really want this to be the first TCG live video that we did on the channel. So if you do like this type of content, guys, remember, drop a like, drop a comment in the comment section. I want to hear from you and see what you'd do differently with this deck, because this is the first time we're playing with it. This is the first iteration of this deck, so I'd be interested to see what you'd do differently with this deck. So remember to comment, and if you want to see more of this content, and there will be more coming, remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified every single time one of these videos goes live. And until next time, thanks guys.